Zach, we saw Xavier's cleared to practice. Can you give us a status update on your four other week ones offensive line starters and also Joe Mixon?
Yes. So a couple guys, still we'll see how they go throughout the week. We'll hold them out today. Some of them will just do individuals today. So Jonah won't do the team periods today, and Mixon won't either. But again, we're encouraged by their progress, and we'll see where they're at tomorrow. Same with Bobby Hart. Who's you asked me about? Xavier, we brought back to practice. Sam Hubbard we brought back yesterday. So again, we'll see where those guys are out and how they're ready to go as the week goes before we make any final decisions on Xavier.
What about Trey Hopkins and Michael Jordan?
They're both good to go.
Zach, if for whatever reason you can't get Fred cleared by Sunday and Bobby can't go, I'm assuming Hakeem would flip to that spot, and then who would be your emergency tackle?
Yeah, we got a couple guys, in that offensive line room that have played it before and practiced there. Obviously, Hakeem played left tackle for us last week, and we've got confidence in Hakeem if he needs to go.
Coach, will Sam Hubbard play a specific number of snaps, or will it be more so just how he feels?
He feels pretty good, and I think he's felt really good. The bye week came at a really good time the last week, so we're prepared to throw him out there and see how well he does. But I know that he's feeling really good.
Thank you.
Obviously, the offensive line is kind of in flux because of the COVID situation and Bobby's situation, all that. But how much do you look at this moving forward, maybe game to game, series to series, where if there's a couple of missed assignments, you can plug and play guys because you've seen some of them play, or how much of it is you want to kind of settle back on five guys as much as possible?
I think you always want the continuity, and you always want those guys playing next to each other because there's some verbal and some nonverbal stuff they feel from one another. But we've got a lot of guys that have been in this program for a long time now. They understand the expectations, and they've gotten enough reps to where we don't feel cautious throwing things at them. They're prepared to play if they need to.
Coach, how much does having played Baltimore help Joe Burrow facing the Pittsburgh Steelers with their blitz package? Or are they so different from a philosophy standpoint or schematic standpoint that it's really not that big an issue?
I think at the end of the day, they're a really good defense, and we've played a couple of those. Indy, Philly had a great front. Philly's got one of the best fronts in the NFL, and certainly Baltimore is one of the better defenses we face. So, of course, we've played some really good defenses. So our guys are ready to handle anything. We know Pittsburgh's a good team. We got a lot of respect for them, but our guys are ready to go.
It feels like what kind of role do you anticipate having for Quentin Spain? Coming up this week, and how challenging has it been sifting through all the new pieces, even beyond the injuries at the guard position?
We just established a plan, and one not necessarily that we'll share with everybody, but we feel like Quentin has picked it up very quickly, and so he'll be able to help us in some way, shape, or form. And but again, we like where he's at. Just really after however many days he's been here, 10 days, 11 days here, he's got a high football IQ, and he's done a good job picking it all up. Go ahead, Charlie.
I was also going to ask about Quentin Spain. He's already been here for a bit, but 2 weeks ago, why did you sign him? What was the reason for bringing him in the building?
He's got a lot of experience in this league. He did a nice job in Buffalo, and so again, anytime we can add quality players to our roster, we'll go ahead and make those additions.
How's Finney adapting to what you guys are doing offensively, Coach?
He's been good. We haven't been around him that much. Obviously, he didn't play in that game. He wasn't here yet. And then we had the bye week. So he couldn't be in the building for those 4 days. And then we didn't have the players in on Monday. So from what I've been around him, I like him. He's a football guy. He's got a great understanding. He's got good experience in Pittsburgh and Seattle. But I can't stand here and say that I have a great grasp on him yet when he hasn't really taken any reps.
Zach, how much can you teach a quarterback to use cadence as a weapon? And is that so, or is that something that kind of some guys just kind of have to have their own improvisational feel for?
It's a little bit of both. It's something you do spend a lot of time talking about, showing examples, and then it's in some ways it's up to those guys to make it their own. Sometimes they have a better feel for what cadences they use than you do. You usually hear it on the TV copies, what they ended up using during the game, and you hear it at practice, obviously. But I think that Joe is one of those guys who's really done a nice job of it, and use that as a weapon for us. As you've seen, we've gotten not as many free plays as we feel like we should have gotten, with his shots down the field, some of them were blown dead, but he's done a nice job using that as a weapon so far.
Coach, can you give us a little overview of Big Ben and their offensive stars and also their defense?
Yeah, they're always an explosive offense. They got good backs, good physical linemen. Ben's one of the best in the league. And then they're really doing a good job using these tight ends and these receivers that they got. They're all playmakers. You see all of them show up, have explosive plays when they're matched up one-on-one. They do a nice job with their route running and creating explosives. They all look smooth. They got good hands. So they're certainly dangerous on offense. And then their defense, is one of the best in the league, and it really starts up front with those front guys that they got. They put a lot of pressure on the quarterback. They played together for a long time. They got good backers right behind them. Obviously Minka leads that secondary, and they got really talented corners and nickels. So it's a group that we're familiar with. They play really well together. They've got 34, 35 sacks. They ton of turnovers that they've created. So they do a really nice job on defense.
Their defensive coordinator, Coach Butler's been around for a long time, and a lot of those players have been with him for a long time. In this year of COVID, how advantageous do you think that is? Is that a factor in why they're playing so well, just how familiar they are with each other and the scheme and everything involved?
It appears that way. You don't see mistakes on tape. Some defenses you play and you can tell where there's miscommunication errors and just flat out busts, but you don't see that on tape against these guys. They do a good job playing all 11 guys together.
Coach, what do you think were some of the biggest things that Joe Burrow learned from the Baltimore game with the blitz they brought and everything, and probably get some similar looks like that from Pittsburgh? What do you think of the biggest things that Joe took out of that game?
I think overall we didn't play well offensively, and it wasn't necessarily him. It's what we all take away from it. We got to be more efficient on first and second down. Can't put ourselves in those third and long situations. Got to call better plays that put us in a better position. So, we don't have to hang on to the ball and wait for someone to get open. So, that's one of those games. You play 16 of them. That was one of those ones that got away from us. It wasn't our best performance. So you just got to put it to bed, move on. And I think we've played well since then.
What are the biggest areas you think Joe Burrow can improve on in the second half of the season?
I think he just learns from his experiences from week to week. And I don't think that there's this glaring thing he's got to improve on. He just, every rep he gets against a new coverage, a new front, a new pressure, he stores in his memory bank and he uses that for the next time he runs that play. And so I think that's just, he's very mature in that sense as a rookie that he stores that information and uses it to his advantage as quickly as he can. And so you just keep accumulating those reps, that experience, and he only gets better with every passing day.
Coach, the NFL is a mutual admiration society where coaches go. I mean, it's just only a few of you guys. So the respect for each other is very prominent. What do you like about Coach Tomlin's style of coaching?
I really haven't been around him. I've never worked with him but certainly he's been really successful. He gets a lot out of his players. He's coached them to a lot of victories and there's a lot to be said for that.
Thank you.
Zach, do you have an update on whether the DBs will be back, and what's it like when not everybody can participate in person, when you have some virtual and some there? How do you go about that? Can you give us some idea?
We just know that there's always going to be adversity and challenges. We don't know day to day what it's always going to look like, but the biggest thing is we don't make excuses. We don't want to waste any time sitting here complaining about it. We just make the most of it. We've done a great job on Zoom so far the last 2 days. Our players have done a great job spacing out, at practice and at the walkthrough and making sure they're keeping their distance and their masks on. And that's all we can do right now, and then just make sure we get quality reps when we're out there and get ready to play on Sunday.
As we're going to go one more minute with Coach. Anyone have any other questions?
Do you see that spacing out and just the adjustments that you're having to make? Do you see that continuing throughout the week, or do you think you will have a normal practice at some point this week?
We'll see. I think the intensive protocol, the latest I heard was it would be through Thursday's testing, and when it would be ending Friday based on the test. So again, we'll wait to see what the league says to us.
Coach, what about the entire offense when you've had a time now to take a look at it? What are you doing best? What do you need to do better?
I think we've been improving in our protection. That was one of the issues early in the season for a lot of different reasons. Like I've always said, it's not always the offensive line. It's all 11 of those guys doing their responsibility a little bit better. I think that has really improved these last couple of weeks. And so, again, that's an area of improvement. I think we've been more efficient when we've been in the red zone these last couple of weeks, and we just going to continue to improve every time we get an opportunity.